This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to do a short video, and basically we're going to give you some tips on how to get the most out of your Big Chief smoker. Now, a lot of these tips are very universal, so they'll help you with any smoker, but there are just a few things to keep in mind. I have an article that'll be linked in the description below that'll give you some more ideas on other tips that you might find useful, but let's start with the ones we're going to feature today. So first tip that's the most important, which is really important to anything, is that you don't want to be looking in the smoker all the time. Every time you open the lid to the smoker, you're going to release smoke and temperature, and then your smoker is going to have to recover. So a nice consistent smoke that might be a little bit off, maybe a little too long or a little too short, is better than opening the lid all the time. If you keep opening the lid, your temperature is going to bounce up and down, and your food is not going to cook consistently, and it will affect your results. Now, for the second tip, I really want to talk about wood here. And it's really important to choose the right wood for your smoker. With the Big Chief, they make their own wood products. So Smokehouse Products makes a full line of wood, and I have two partial bags here. Then we'll find first here we have the wood chips, and then we have wood chunks. Now, the main difference between the two is size. Of course, there's flavor differences too, but there's a full selection of flavors that you'll find links for below, which are affiliate links. Now, if you use a wood chip, it's going to burn at a normal rate recommended for the smoker. But let's say you want it to burn a little slower, then you want to use larger pieces like wood chunks. Now, these are the wood chunks for this brand, and they're a little smaller than most other brands' wood chunks. But again, with the electric smoker, that's what you're going to find. Now, I'm going to hold one of these out, and then I'm going to take out a couple out of here and show you the difference. So let's come up here a little closer to the camera so you can look at this. Here is their wood chunk, and here is the Smokehouse Products wood chips. These will burn at their normal rate, which will generate a lot of smoke and burn quickly. One pan might last 45 minutes, but it really depends on the outdoor temperature and some other factors that you'll figure out with a little practice. Now, let's say you want something to burn just a little bit faster. Well, then you might switch to a different brand and go with something like the Cameron's Extra Fine, or you could get some sawdust from a furniture manufacturer. You need hardwood that does not have any stain or sealer on it of any kind. A lot of times cabinet manufacturers use oak and sometimes maple or other wood that burns really good. And right here we have a maple. It's really hard to really smell anything off of it, but when you burn it and taste it, I think that this works really well with bacon. So I use this for both my beef bacon and my pork bacon. And this will burn fast, and you can see it's really a coarse sawdust. Now, like I said, if you get something from a cabinet shop, it'll be finer sawdust than this. Now, another brand, which is Weber, this is wood chunks, and I use their pecan all the time. I can't get the pecan in the other brand, but what I'll do is I'll add this to the top of some of their wood chips from Smokehouse Products, and I'll usually use like a hickory and mix the pecan in, and then I'll get that flavor from the pecan, which really, pecan is one of my favorites. And just remember, when in doubt, get the pecan out. It's really important also that you match your wood to your food. So certain foods will take better to different woods, and that's really almost more important than how fast it smokes. But that will bring us in to our next tip. And our next tip is do not over smoke your food. So if you're not sure, especially if your smoker is well seasoned, this one is well seasoned. I've used it many times. If you're not sure, then go a little under on the smoke. different foods take smoke at different rates. Like for instance, if you look at something like macaroni, it takes smoke really well. So if you put a bunch of smoke in on macaroni and cheese, it's going to get really smoky really fast. Now cheese takes smoke pretty good, but because of the dense nature of the cheese itself, it doesn't penetrate deep into the meat. So if you cut across with a slice, there'll be a smoke ring on the outside, and the middle of it will not have a lot of smoke flavor. So it kind of, as you eat it, it kind of mixes in your mouth, which is fine. And I like mine pretty heavy on smoke. Then the next tip is make sure that you allow enough time. When I'm doing a dish, if I think it's going to take about 6 hours, I always allow 8 hours for it. Now with this smoker, of course, this is not like a dinner type smoker or hot type smoker that you would use for something like ribs, although you could add smoke to ribs before grilling them. But with this one here, when you're doing something like smoked salmon or you're doing jerky or whatever, if your recipe calls for 6 hours, allow for 8. That way, when you do open the lid, if it doesn't look right or just doesn't look the way you want it, then you have time to throw a couple more hours. Let's say you planned for 6 hours and you have to be somewhere in 6.5 hours. You just don't have time to stick around. So you need to allow that time at the beginning. That way you get the results that you want. Now finally, that brings us into our last tip, which is practice. Practice makes perfect for everything, and the more you practice with this smoker, the better you're going to get. I learned how to use the small version of this smoker, which you'll see right here. That's not the same one, of course, but I used the small version to smoke smelt. And in my family, once a year, the smelt would come, and that's the only way that I ate smelt for years. And frankly, I still think that's the best way to eat a smelt. And also my favorite way to actually eat a rainbow trout. Learning that over time from somebody else who knew how to use the smoker ahead of time really helped me out. And as I transitioned that knowledge into larger, thicker fish, then I was able to practice until I got it to where I wanted. Now, of course, there's all kinds of factors that can affect your smoke and will actually give you results that weren't expected. But that's why you use different things like accessories. And in the next video, we'll be talking about some accessories that will help you get a more successful smoke. If you saw anything here that you like, there will be links below. They are affiliate links, so if you use them, I really appreciate it. And this right here, I can recommend as the best smoker for traditional smoked trout or for smoked salmon, and definitely another great option for jerky. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.